Hello. As promised and as usual, just a wee bit late, I am doing my wee live genealogy session tonight, and I'm just setting up the Instagram, sorry. I don't even know what I talk about half the time. It's been a very, very, very long day. So I'm just going to see who we've got coming in. Hi. And here I'm just going to get our Instagram on. I didn't even bother today, guys. You've just literally got me. It was a little bit of a problem because I had basically finished at 8 and then I went straight on to the shop and I had something to eat, and then I had Scotland Hour over on Twitter, which is an hour thing that we do. I've been doing Scotland Hour before I was a tour guide. That's how long I've been doing Scotland Hour for. So I was over on Twitter for that, and then I had to come here. So it's like, yay, like that's what I'm doing tonight. So you've literally got like my workout here. I did my yoga earlier on and I'm not wearing any makeup, so that's what you're going to get. Francesca, I'm really sorry. Francesca's just joined us on Instagram. I'm not doing my 10-day shred. Here's a bit of dark chocolate, which I've got stashed for a bit later. So tonight's chat, as you all know, will be on ancestry. So if you are on Instagram and you have access to Facebook and or YouTube, you can go and watch this video over there. I can't share the screen and things with people over on Instagram yet. So fingers crossed they get that changed soon. So you can stay for the chat and the banter. But if you would like to see what everybody else on both Facebook and YouTube are seeing, go and have a look there. It's nice and easy, just like our usual name. It's just Slange Scotland. And you can have a look there. So I just want to see who else we have here. So we've got Kim. Hi, Kim, and Graham. Nice to see you. And I'm just going to do a quick share to get a few extra bodies in, because tonight is going to be ancestry. Because we started doing some ancestry the other day on after our pub quiz. So I'm just going to share that if it lets me. Here we go. Share. Hi, Ian. Nice to see you tonight. Okay. I don't want to start a watch party, guys, do I? Really? No. I just want to share it. There we go. Voila. Okay, wonderful. So, oh, there's a funny fuzzy noise in my background. Cat? Sounds like waves. No, it's, what film is this? What's the name of the film? He's watching a film. Oh, that's better. Maybe it was my breathing, Francesca. Is that that would just be like me. What's that funny noise in the background? Oh, it's just Catriona breathing heavily. So we've got Bonnie. Hi, and we've got Dee. Hi, Dee. Nice to see you here. I think it was my computer. Possibly. Could you imagine like just breathing down the phone? It's just, I think I've just actually creeped myself out. So I'm sorry. I've just brought it right down. I brought the level of chat right down. So tonight we're going to go back on to Ancestry, and I'm going to share my screen with those who are on Facebook and on YouTube. So Francesca, I know you're on Facebook as well. Yeah, you totally are. I was like, hold on a minute. And if you want to see how I do my research, then here we are. So is there anything in particular while we're here? Is there anything in particular before I start does anyone have any questions about doing their family tree in a Scottish sense at least? You know, are you basically doing, do you have any questions? Because it's good if I got started and I actually use somebody who hasn't, who, you know, just as a test subject, if you are happy for me to do so, I can do that. So I'm just waiting because there is a bit of a lag. So I've got, what? No, it was, they thought it was my, like a breathing sound. So, what? Nothing. Honestly, I'm eating chocolate because I need it for my energy. Yes. Am I not showing? No, I'm just. Anyway, so let's get started. So, no one has any chat for me to do here. So, we're going to do a customer. Did I say custom? Yeah, customer of mine. Who Deborah, and I've been doing her family tree for a wee while now. We were really getting somewhere. We were really getting somewhere until lockdown, and it was a wee bit of weather around winter time. So a wee backstory about Deborah. So Deborah is coming on tour with me, probably more likely going to be next year now. In fact, I was just on the phone as well to America before I started this. I've been very busy tonight with one of my customers who's actually a distant relative. He's coming on my special Ramsay themed tour in September. And he emailed me and he said, Catriona, it would be really good if we could reschedule this to next year. And I said, that's great, Chris. I'm doing that anyway. So Deborah is supposed to be joining that tour as well. And I'm also going to be doing a private day with Deborah on the side to do some like locations where her relatives were from. So her relatives come from the Arbroath area in the county of Angus. So she had done some research through, you know, websites such as Ancestry, and she has found some other information from other relations in Canada about her Scottish story, but nothing really that could put anything into stone or set anything in stone. So she hired me to do my digging. Now, when I do Ancestry, I always like to work back. So she was very much aware and happy with her Canadian roots and her Canadian family. But once you get to the Scottish side, that was really what she wanted to define and to find out as much information as we can about her relative, who happens to be a guy called John Taylor. Now, there's not a lot about John on the internet, unfortunately, because he is he's not as recognized as I would hope in the modern day, especially for what he managed to achieve in both Canada and in Scotland and the UK and the world. And I'm going to share my screen. So those of you who are on Instagram now, I'm going to love you and leave you. And hopefully you can go over to our YouTube or our Facebook where you can watch this take place. So take care. See you later. So I'll just put that to the side. And I'm just going to share with you a wee bit of information about Mr. John Taylor. And then I'm going to share some information that I managed to accumulate while doing my research. So let's go, Mr. John, which is John Taylor. So Deborah knew that this chap was a significant person thanks to having the family pass this information down. However, she didn't know as much as she would like. So this is what we managed to find now, albeit this information that I was able to find is currently on Wikipedia. That's what I first found. And then it was my job then to pull it apart. So I'm just going to come in here and share with the screen. Thanks, Dad. So let's come in to share screen. Where is it? Here it is. Okay, so you can all see that, right? So this is John Taylor. And I'm also going to get, while you're looking at Mr. John Taylor's information there, I'm just going to move my face out so you've got a better view there. What I'm going to do is also get up my Scotland's People, because Scotland's People is the website that I use because it's got all the archives for the National Archives for Scotland. And a lot of the archives are from the later 1500s all the way through to present day. So it's a really amazing resource that they have managed to archive all these records. If your record is not with Scotland's People on their website, you're not going to find it in Edinburgh at their actual base because they use the same website to find it. And also, all the records were all sent there. So if it's not there, then it's not going to be anywhere. So there were a few kind of question marks that I found while doing this particular job. So I'm just going to go over Mr. John Taylor first. And then we're going to go into the information that I was able to find on Scotland's People. So John Taylor was a seaman. I think I'm just going to say seaman because it sounds better, who served in the Royal Navy and who later helped settle Guelph in Upper Canada. Taylor was born in Scotland, and we know now he was born in Arbroath, and it was his service during the Mediterranean campaign of 1798 that earned him a lifetime pension. His ship, the HMS Alcmene, had captured an enemy ship carrying important dispatches. When the enemy captain tried to prevent the English reading those dispatches, Taylor and other seamen dove into the sea after them. Both Taylor and the other man were awarded lifetime pensions of £20 a year. Now, apparently, they were also, I don't know if it says this here, but they were also given land in Canada as part of this kind of accolade. And also, he had his an official painting done. Now, this is where I'm still trying to find, but I will go into that in a minute. So this is what Horatio Nelson quoted the captain of Taylor's ship. On the 22nd of August, the Alcmene captured La Légère, the French gunboat off Alexandria. We could not, says Captain Hope in his official letter, prevent the dispatches for Bonaparte from being thrown overboard, which was perceived, however, by John Taylor and James Harding of the Alcmene, who, at the risk of their lives, The ship, then going between 5 and 6 knots, dashed overboard and saved the whole of them. Both men were fortunately picked up by the boat that was sent after them, and I conceive it my duty to make known the very spirited conduct they showed on this occasion for the good of the service. Taylor later emigrated to Canada, where he was one of the original settlers of Guelph. Accounts differ as to when he arrived, either in 1828 or 1834. The region of Guelph Taylor and other individuals from Scotland settled was known as the Paisley Block. So there you go. So you can see there's some references to where they got this from. Now, when I was doing this work, I found it to be quite interesting, because not a lot was actually available that had any real credibility about it. So you saw that his grandson, that's when we know that there was a portrait painted of this chap. And it was the only record we can actually find is from his grandson, who by this point was already, old enough. We don't know exactly how old his grandson was at the time of this account, but we know that he could have misheard. There's a lot of different factors that come in there. Or John Taylor was just bigging himself up. We do know, however, about the pension pretty much. However, it was also quite difficult for me. I went through all the old naval records, and as you can imagine, there are quite a number of John Taylors, and I wasn't as successful in finding the exact one to whom it would be an absolute, okay, that's him, he definitely got £20. So there's a lot of kind of ambiguity there. So it's a constant hunt, kind of like you feel a bit like Sherlock Holmes when you're doing this stuff, because you're just basically trying to validate information. I always remember my grandfather telling me that his uncle always said he remembered going to see his grandfather's funeral and being lifted to see the corpse, and that giving him a fright. But in actual fact, it was more that he was already 10, so nobody would have necessarily been lifting him up as such. Do you know what I mean? So people remember things differently, and they kind of make sense of their past. I always like to say that, would you trust your 10, 11 or younger grandchild or child to explain what's happening in your life now? All this, all the ins and outs of what was going on. I don't know how many of us would actually say that they would absolutely trust them to have an accurate account of what's going on. So it's always worthwhile to think about that. Hi, Deborah. So Deborah Bishop here. Deborah is, it's her relation that I'm currently talking about. So I'm just going to go into my family tree just now. Not my family tree, but Deborah's family tree that I have on Scotland's People. And as I mentioned before, this is the site to use. There we go. Okay, so we're wanting to go to timelines. So I'm just going to share this again with you. Awesome, Bonnie. So you might be related to Deborah. So I'm just going to share the screen just now again. So this is coming into Scotland's People now. And I'm just going to give you the full shebang. There you go. So this is a timeline that I have currently got for Deborah. in the back here, and I have created 3 different timelines. And I've done that just to make my life easier. Everybody works differently. So don't necessarily think the way I do it is the way that's going to work for you. But I just like to categorize everything. Otherwise, it becomes really busy and it becomes very difficult, especially when you're dealing with people with similar names, which a lot of people tended to do. They tended to name themselves, their sons after themselves, and so on and so forth. So that was quite difficult. But here we've got John Taylor. Let's go and look at this tree that I have put together. So this is John Taylor here, and we can see that he was born, and I have cited all of these, so I have written out what it says pretty much on each record, so that we have a good view. So this is obviously 1775, so this is a wee bit before they had to start properly archiving them in the 1850s. So, you know, you'll see what I mean when I look at it. So I'm just going to open this up here. And this, I did this just before Christmas. I was in here. Just shows you how long we've been working on it. So this is John Taylor's baptism. So you can see here, and you've got lovely. So this is in Arbroath. And Arbroath has, they did some really, really wonderful records. And look how wonderful and legible that is. So you've got all the names here. Adam, Robertson, Baird, I think, or Caird, Gibson, Craig, Ferrier, Clark, Webster, Philip, Barry, Hay, Lindsay, and Taylor. Now look at this. Look at that. So all I could see here was that he was born on the 14th of February. John Taylor and Helen Leslie were his parents. And it was witnessed by a David Leslie and a John Anderson. I'm just going to go back and just double check that. Is what I have written. Here. There we go. So yes. Now this was very interesting for me because having some names of witnesses was really crucial for me to be able to allocate other members of this household and to find information about this particular household. So we've got this here, and this is John's siblings, Isabel, David, William, Helen, this was very interesting, Helen, William, and Isabel here. So it gives you a full run through. I've also got John Taylor's parents' marriage. So and there you go. So let's go look at their marriage. So this just shows you, see that? So this is John's, this is the Ramsay side, sorry, this is John Taylor's wife. This is her family now. So we've got William Ramsay and Elizabeth Leslie. So we have quite a prominent Scottish names here on Deborah's family side. It is very exciting. It is very exciting, Kim. But you can just have a look here. Let me just go back to where I was. Yeah, so this is William Ramsay and Elizabeth Leslie. This is the full list of what was happening. So you can actually see that. I think I might have actually put this one in the wrong place. But anyway, doesn't matter. We'll go into it. And then you have their children. So let's come in here. Now, I was doing this for a reason, because I was trying to find John Taylor's first wife, Margaret Ramsay. I was trying to find her death. And just to give you an idea, Deborah, if you're watching this, this is pretty much what we're left with. Now, a lot of the time they have the maiden name, okay, on the death, but I tried with both. So let's go to Margaret. So we're looking at from 1812 to 1834. And then we come down to deaths in this is the old church registers, as you can see. So you go to view 40 records. And then we come down here, and I always go to fuzzy. I've said this before, I go to fuzzy name matching. Ramsay is notorious for being spelled either with an EY. I mean, I've seen it spelled all different ways. So I've got fuzzy name spelling. And then we go down to, Arbroath. Right, it doesn't let me do that. There we go. Next. There we go. So it's not got anything for fuzzy name matching. So then I would maybe try something a bit different, like wild cards allowed. See if it works. Nope. Sometimes I'll do names that begin with, and it's an R. So let's try that. And here we go. So this is an Arbroath. So in 1834. So we know that Margaret was born, like her husband, in 1775. So we know that we are dealing with that time scale. So I always look at my ages here. So in 1834, let's see, 1834 minus. So no, this is too old. Then we have, again, possibly, maybe they wrote the information down incorrectly. And she was 55. So she would have been a bit older actually in 1834. So I pretty much just count that. However, if you wanted to, and I'm going to show you this just for argument's sake. This is why you guys pay me, because it costs every single time I go into a record. But this is it. So I'm looking at this record for the first time. So there we go. So we can see absolutely that this is not her. Okay. So sometimes what I do is I have to use a process of elimination. So if there's a thing like that, I can't find Ramsay, but there's a Rennie, and the father is also called William. That's possibly that they got it wrong when they were writing it down, which is quite common actually. But if you look at this, wife of William Rennie, so we know it's not correct. Okay, so we're going to come back. So we know it's not that. Then I would do something like this, and I would do, okay, let's go to Taylor. This is very rare that they would do this, but hey ho. Again, we're going to go to fuzzy name matches to start with. Nope. And we know that they are Church of Scotland, guys. I know that they are. But another thing you can also do is just check other churches. They haven't got a huge Catholic community in this particular area. Okay, see, there's not even a Catholic community. These are all the Catholic. Oh, there's one there. So let's just put it here. No, I very much doubted that. But you never know, they might have put it in incorrectly. So it's always worth a look to at least say that you checked. I have even found the wrong information before, like the wrong record assigned to a person I was looking for, which was quite frustrating. But it's not really much you can do about it. Okay, so go to update results. No. So again, we do the same thing. Let's put in a wildcard allowed. No. Let's try names that begin with. No. Let's do... Oh. There we go. So let's try this one again. Nope. So we definitely know she has a baby in 1812. So she's alive then. And we know that she's dead. So this is a classic case of she's gone missing somewhere. Now, I have another site that I sometimes use, and this is a site that they often use for England, okay, for a lot of the English records, and this is where I was pointed for a lot of the naval records as well. So I'm just going to stop sharing that with you. I'm going to share this other page with you just now. Where are we? Okay, so share. We're going to come to... There we go. So I'm now giving you my blooming sign in. Actually, I'm going to stop that for a second. And I'm going to sign in. I'm already a member. 2 seconds, guys. Trust me, trust me. Okay, so I'm going to share this with you now. Now, these are the last people I was dealing with, but I don't know why I've got Margaret Monroe there, but it was obviously somebody I was dealing with. But I'm going to go for Margaret Ramsay, okay? And she was 1812 plus 10 years, let's say. Oh, no, wait a minute. What am I doing? What am I doing? So we're going to go give or take 2 years. So we're going to say 1812 by, let's just say, 10 years. And we're going to go to our growth. Okay. Oh, she's not there. So let's go to 20 years. And no, you see that? She's not there either. But let's come down to advanced options. Let's put her in as Taylor. And we're just not getting anything. See that? So this is since been moved. Let's go to parish burials. Aha, maybe. So here. And no, it's not her. Do you see that? There's just nothing there. There is another one. Just give me a wee second while I quickly go get my wee book. There's another website to use. Let me see. Okay, there's one more site to try. So let's just come off. I very much doubt it, Deborah. I can't imagine she would go away. But also that's looking at, I think I've actually looked at some of the records for England. It does happen. It happened to my relative I couldn't find. But I can't imagine she would have any reason to be there, given the research that I've been doing. But we can always check. The other place to check is a place called Family Search. Okay. Now, the reason why this is a good one to go to is because they just index it differently. So there you might have a chance to see it here. So what I'm going to do is share with this next where are we? So here we are. So this is the other website to use if you're not finding anything on Scotland's People. So the first one is Margaret, last name is Ramsay. Okay. So we don't want to match that exactly, and we want to look for death. So we know the birthplace was in Arbroath, and it was from 1775. Let's just do this because you never know, things might be put in incorrectly. And we then got Arbroath again. I'll tell you why England doesn't make any sense to me, because he remarries in Arbroath. After that, he remarries another lady. I've got her somewhere, actually. I've just forgotten her name off the top of my head. So we want to say from 1812, let's just go to 1834. Okay. Ugh. Okay, so these are the records that we have. And this one here, we have Catherine Ramsay, possibly. So no, we are finding information for Catherine, but not for Margaret. So there you are. It's not there. So Margaret is an absolute mystery. So I'm just going to stop that, and I'm going to just explain what else we have done to find her. Just give me a wee second. There we go. Hi, Elizabeth. So this is my wee book, as I mentioned before, with all my workings. So what I then did is I managed to get quite a bit. So as far as I can go. So I've got a couple of potential parents on the Leslie and Taylor side, which is another, this is interesting because there's Leslies everywhere. But I managed to find we had twin boys in here as well. Anyway, we've got John Taylor Sr. He was from St. Fegans. And we have, where are we? Yes, it was his parents that we are struggling to find because they didn't write the parents necessarily. So as you can see, we've already got lots of Williams, lots of Johns, lots of Margarets, lots of Ramsays, lots of Leslies, lots of Taylors. And trying to pinpoint the exact one becomes a bit more difficult. So I went through to Arbroath. Well, I went to a place near Forfar in Angus, which is where you can go and see the Angus records. And whilst there, I basically had a couple of things that I was really looking at achieving. One of those things was to find Margaret Taylor, her death, and also their marriage. That was it, the marriage between John and Margaret, which is another thing that is evading us. So here, cannot find the marriage information to John Taylor and Scotland's people. However, have found a reference in findmypast.co.uk to Margaret Ramsay having married John Taylor in Arbroath on the 30th of January 1800. So the problem is I cannot verify that. There's absolutely nowhere to verify that information. So anyway, I went to Forfar to see if there was a way, some sort of newspaper or documentations or anything that I could find that might prove useful. Especially since we were dealing with a member of the community who was fairly prominent. You know, he was a barber, John, as was his father-in-law, William, so Margaret's father, which I found out through doing this. And it was just to see if I could find the grave and to see if I could go to Arbroath. So Deborah's family are buried in the graveyard at Arbroath Abbey, and I've managed to find the various different rows that I've just put post-it notes on here. So 1, 2, 4, 5, row 8, by daughters Helen and Mary, 1852, Arbroath Abbey, page 76, that's where I got it from, William Ramsay and Elizabeth Leslie. So I've managed to find that one. Then I have the next one, John Taylor Sr. and his wife Helen Leslie, 1789, Arbroath Abbey, row 31. And John Taylor was a weaver. So I managed to find that from his gravestone as well. So I want to go back to Arbroath to find that, but I basically had to go through this one book. I had found some other information. There was an old document from, oh gosh, what was it? 1789, I think it was. I'm just going to get it up here actually and see if I can find it because it was fabulous. So if I come down here, and I might be able to turn this to you just to quickly show you it. So here we are. So this was my day in Arbroath. Now I did this, I went to Angus. It's a good 2-hour drive. This was a lovely day. don't know if it tells me what date details. I took that on the 23rd of January that I was there. So it was winter time. We had quite a few storms. If you all remember, we had like the weirdest stormy, awful weather just before Corona hit. So that's it there. I don't know if you can see just about. So that's me looking towards the graveyard. That there is Arbroath Abbey. And this here is an old map of Angus. This one is the County of Angus, showing overall dates of old, I can't read that, records held in Edinburgh and available more. Okay, so you can get this access to this map. So this is me with my gloves on. You can see those hands, they're white gloves. And I was able to find an Arbroath Trader Index. I mean, I was literally going through every single piece of information you could possibly think of. So we have, we're looking for John Taylor, and it says there, you can't really see it, but it says barber. And here is the document for, oh, where is it? This is the document that I managed to find. It's basically like a club, like a society. And I've got John Taylor here with his mark, because he was actually absent by this point. There, it's funny because it says John Taylor Barbary. So this is literally from the early 1800s. And this is how it comes to you. It's like this really delicate, kind of almost coffee stained, very fragile document that you take out. This here is the, I took a picture of how the rows at the cemetery work in Arbroath Abbey. And that's a map of the cemetery. You can't really see it, I'm sorry guys, but, and another map of the cemetery, just so that I had reference points from the 1970s till now. And here, this was my favorite thing. So this was basically, I'm going to read it to you. Arbroath, 16th of October, 1787. Sir, whereas I have this day agreed to build to you a tenement on the east end of your yard, lying betwixt the east west Abbey streets. Oh, that's it, East and West Abbey streets of Arbroath, to front the eastmost something of the dimensions following. So it's basically a beautiful, beautiful piece of writing to Margaret's father, who was having some work done. And it was basically a contract. This man was saying what he was going to do. It was signed for within a budget plan. So he actually, I can't remember how much it was supposed to be, but the handwriting was just absolutely beautiful. And then I ended up getting a call while I was in the car park on my way home. No, we were on our way to Arbroath from the library, from the archive centre to Arbroath, and I got a call from the BBC to be on about Robert Burns for a second time. But that's it. So I still have some work I want to do and I need to do. I found he is mentioned in the Burgess book and also in the Militia book, which I found really fascinating that he was in the militia. And hopefully I'll find some more information maybe, and to see if, you know, we've got something there. So hopefully we will. So that's just the kind of boring side of what I do. When I'm doing the ancestry, it is literally like finding clues everywhere. So hopefully I'll find a clue to Margaret. Hopefully I'll find some sort of widower reference. We know that he remarries, but this is again still before the time of which they really did anything. They didn't really do too much in terms of writing down previous marriages and all that kind of stuff. So it's a bit of a needle in a haystack. However, I have been working with the museum in Guelph on this case as well, and they had managed to accumulate quite a bit of information about John Taylor. They are obviously, because of everything that's going down, they have not got back to me entirely, but they are on the job, and they actually sent me over quite a bit of stuff, didn't they, Deborah? Because John Taylor featured on their special event that they do every year. And I'm just going to see if I can find the email. Here. So I've got it here. So I found this really amazing. And this is a document, okay, that I'm just going to make it bigger. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share this with you guys again very quickly. Here we go. There we go. So this is a document that they put together for a special event. And because John Taylor was one of the first settlers, Guelph had him in the cemetery next to where his original resting place was. So we've got John Taylor Sr. died April 6, 1849 in the Early Cemetery. He was a veteran, a pensioner, daring feats. Daughter Elizabeth Taylor married George Bruce, Tree Trunk Monument, Block G. So he died at his residence in Paisley Block near Guelph on Friday the 6th. Mr. John Taylor Sr., a native of Aberborthwick, which is another way of saying Arbroath, by the way, Scotland. In his 76th year, after long and severe bodily suffering, Mr. T was one of the two heroes on board the British frigate Alcmene, commanded by Captain Hope when the French gunboat Le Ledger was captured off Alexandria on the 22nd of August, 1798. Now, bear in mind, this was put together by somebody who is using the internet for their research. It says here, this is very interesting, his portrait is still exhibited in the National Gallery amongst the British naval heroes, while his remains rest in the neglected, unenclosed burial ground at Guelph, till the Archangel shall proclaim time be no more. Okay, so this was interesting to me, and I sent this to the National Galleries of Scotland, and then they said indeed they had something, and then they sent it to London, but I'm still waiting on a reply because Corona obviously came in and put everybody on furlough. So again, we've got some more information here about what he did. And here you go. So you've got some more information about it. and this is his famous poem in Guelph. So there you have. So these are famous people. So we get to find quite a lot of stuff quite often. As long as I've got my clues, my book, I know what I'm looking for. And I've got something to go with. So if you're doing your ancestry, just make sure you've got something to go on first. If you don't have anything to go on just yet, start saving your money, because you're either going to have to spend a lot yourself trying to find the information, or you're going to have to hire somebody else to do it for you. So as long as you can try and trace back as far as you can then get somebody like myself or yourself to go and start looking it up. So that's pretty much my ancestry night. I think I went over John Taylor quite a bit. And hopefully I'll be going, my next trip, for Deborah, if you're watching, my next trip will be to Arbroath. I'm heading there as soon as I can, as soon as the archives are open, which we're hoping will be by the beginning, the first 2 weeks of July. So not too far from now. I'm hopefully going to be in Arbroath looking at that. Kim, I am, absolutely. I do this almost full time. So I take it on, and as soon as I can go so far, I then go to the next one. And as soon as I can go so far, I go to the next one. You will have noticed me out and about fairly recently. That was for an ancestry customer. And we've also got Patty. So Patty, I will be, Patty's a bit more difficult. So as soon as we can get the museums and everything open, I can then start to validate that, as well as going down to the National Library of Scotland. I'm going to be doing a lot of work for Patty down there. But I'm definitely taking on new customers, new clients. So if you are interested in having your genealogy or your ancestry looked at, another lady did is she called me up, and we did a Zoom call. So I just gave my expertise for an hour or 2 hours or whatever works for you. We have that call, and I just get paid by the hour. So you can do that as well. If you don't want to commit just yet, you can always phone me up. We can go over some things together through a kind of Zoom or something where I can share a screen. And that might get you started so that you know exactly what you need to do. But I always like to speak to people before I take it on. Deborah was quite good because she has got quite a notorious member in her family. So that was great. And yeah, so that makes my life easier. Patty as well. We've got quite a lot with Patty, but it's just because we're going back to the kind of late 17th century, and I'm dealing now with Irish records as well. So we just need to make sure that that's all up to date before I can start diving any deeper. But I have found quite a lot of people with the same name. That's how it goes. But I love it to pieces. It's my happy place, and I get to go all over Scotland for it as well. And then hopefully you guys can come over here and retrace the footsteps of your ancestors. So that's something that I really love to be a part of. Oh, Bonnie. Like I said, you can just pay as you go. Like Olive called, she's just said, Catherine, I just need some help here. We managed to find, she's also got a very notorious family. Her ancestor, one of them ran a brothel. She got arrested for it a number of times, and the other one was a bigamist. So we managed to find all this information, which was good fun. Yeah, Kim, absolutely. If you have an email, would be a good place to start. I can have a little look at that. Once we've got through this lockdown and I can get down to Arbroath, we'll hopefully have something worth sharing. Oh, another thing is with my ancestry services and for Deborah and for others, my sister, it's just a complimentary thing I do. My sister is an illustrator and she's been doing illustrations for me. And she's doing a lovely illustration for Deborah as part of your family tree. So hopefully it's something you can maybe put on your wall. Something is going to be on the map, on your little ancestry map. And then you're going to have this little, I'm thinking of like a silhouette, but with things that are specific to your family. So I want to kind of use our talents, and hopefully you'll get something that is really worth something and a real heirloom that you can pass down to your loved ones when you, when the time comes. I was like, that's we've got awfully morbid. So as I said before, you know where I am. If you want any assistance with ancestry, I'm more than happy to help. Like I said, I can dedicate an hour or a 2-hour Zoom session. We can go over it together. I charge my rates. That pays for all the different membership subscriptions and obviously all of the credits that I go through. While we're together, you don't have to pay anything extra. It's literally, I charge £30 an hour. Nice and easy. With that £30, you've got your credits, any travel, and membership certificates, things like that that I use. So there you go. It's not morbid. Well, you never know. I used to be fascinated with death as a child. I was that creepy child in the corner. So there we have it. So thank you all for joining in and for all the chats. You know where I am. If you have any questions, anytime, you know where I am. Deborah, if you've got any questions, if you want to have a catch up, we can do that sometime this weekend. I'm free. And maybe if you want, when I go down to Arbroath, I'll do a wee live walk around Arbroath. So we'll see. So thank you. Take care of yourselves. It feels like we're coming out of it, but I think it's really important to remain vigilant. Keep washing those hands, wear your face masks if you can, and keep your distance. Don't cough on anybody. Don't lick anybody. Just don't do anything you wouldn't normally do. And hopefully we'll get through this thing in one piece. So thank you. Tapalach, and I'll see you on Friday night. Take care.